What happens when one of Hollywood's most grounded stars steps into the lion's den of daytime television and refuses to play by their rules? You're about to witness the moment Mark Wahlberg flipped the script on The View, dismantling Joy Behar's entire line of attack in front of a live audience and millions watching at home. This wasn't your typical celebrity fluff piece gone off the rails. This was a calm, surgical takedown of media arrogance and the culture of public shaming. Before we dive into this jaw-dropping exchange, don't forget to hit subscribe and drop a comment below, because what happens next will leave you stunned. From the moment Mark Wahlberg walked onto the set, the tension was thick. Joy Behar had already made several not-so-subtle jabs at Wahlberg during the show's opening segment. She'd come armed with notes, ready to pounce, digging up past controversies, cherry-picking quotes, and clearly itching for a fight. But what she didn't count on was a guest who wouldn't flinch. Mark sat down with quiet composure, adjusting his jacket like a man with nothing to prove. The calm before the storm. Joy came out swinging. "So Mark," she started, wearing that trademark smirk viewers know all too well, "you've been pretty outspoken about your faith lately. Some people might call that hypocritical, considering your past. How do you reconcile being a born-again Christian with some of the more questionable roles you've taken?" The other hosts squirmed in their chairs. Even Whoopi Goldberg cast a sideways glance, clearly recognizing Joy was coming in hotter than usual. But Wahlberg didn't flinch. "Well, Joy," he replied evenly. "The beauty of faith is that it's about growth and redemption. I'm not the man I was 20 years ago, and I hope I'm not the same man 20 years from now. Faith teaches you to own your mistakes and try to be better every day." Joy leaned in, smelling blood. "But isn't that convenient timing? Your career takes a few hits and suddenly you find God. Sounds like a calculated PR move to me." A gasps and murmurs rippled through the audience. Mark's jaw tightened, but his tone didn't waver. He'd seen this playbook before. The media cynicism that assumes every sincere moment must be a publicity stunt. "I found God long before any so-called career bumps, Joy," he said. "But even if I hadn't, why is it a problem if someone turns to something greater than themselves in a time of struggle? Isn't that what most people do?" Joy wasn't done. She went in for the kill. "That's a nice sound bite, Mark. But let's talk specifics. You've made millions glorifying violence, tough guys, action heroes. And now you want us to buy this image of you as a peaceful, faith-driven family man. So which Mark Wahlberg are we supposed to believe?" The room fell quiet. Mark paused. For a second, it looked like he might give the usual polished answer. But instead, he smiled. Not the Hollywood smile, but the smile of a man who sees exactly what's happening and decides not to play the game. "You know what, Joy? I think you're asking the wrong question. It's not about which version of me you should believe. The real question is, why are you so determined to believe people can't change? Why does the idea of redemption bother you so much?" But Joy blinked. The control she had over the room slipped in an instant. What was meant to be an ambush had turned into a moment of uncomfortable reflection. And just like that, Mark Wahlberg didn't just survive the lion's den. He walked out owning it. "It's not redemption that bothers me, Mark." Joy shot back, her tone sharp. "It's the phoniness. It's celebrities thinking they can rebrand themselves the moment it's convenient and expect the public to forget everything that came before. That's what I take issue with." Mark didn't flinch. In fact, his voice grew stronger. "And what bothers me," he said evenly, "is the way some people seem committed to keeping others frozen in their worst moments. You talk about my past like it's some kind of smoking gun, but everyone in this room has things they're not proud of. The only difference is, most people's mistakes don't get broadcast for public consumption and turned into entertainment." The room was dead silent. Even the camera crew slowed, sensing this wasn't just another celebrity interview. It was something deeper, something real. Joy, for once, didn't have an instant comeback. She had walked in expecting a carefully trained actor ready to dodge and deflect. Instead, she found herself face to face with someone who was not only unafraid, but willing to challenge the very foundation of her approach. "There's a line," Mark continued, pressing forward between accountability and public shaming. "You seem to blur the two. Accountability means taking ownership and doing the work to make things right. Public shaming, that's about tearing people down so you can feel like you're standing taller. So let me ask you, right now, which one are you doing?" Joy's face flushed. She wasn't used to being challenged this directly, especially not by someone she thought would fold under pressure. "I think I'm doing my job," she snapped, trying to recover. Which is asking tough questions that the audience deserves to hear. The Mark shook his head slightly. "No. I think you're doing what you always do. You're trying to create a spectacle. You want to tear someone down because that makes for good TV. But here's the thing, Joy, I'm not here to play that game. I'm here to talk about the work I've done, the family I care about, and yes, my faith. If you want a real conversation, I'm here for it. But if all you want is to recycle old headlines I've already taken responsibility for, then maybe we should just end this now." And just like that, the entire dynamic shifted. Joy, who had started this exchange in control, now found herself under a microscope. The other hosts sat back, eyes wide, watching the unexpected power reversal unfold. Sarah looked stunned. Sunny busied herself with her cue cards. Even Whoopi had gone quiet. Joy's jaw tightened. She had built a career on bulldozing guests with rapid-fire takedowns. But Mark Wahlberg wasn't rattled. He wasn't playing by her script. And he was winning. In a last-ditch effort to regain control, Joy went for the personal angle. "All right then," she said sharply. "Let's talk about your political views. Since you want to get all high and mighty. You've supported some candidates that and frankly most decent people, find offensive. How do you square that with the Christian values you're suddenly so proud of?" Mark didn't react, but something in his posture shifted. He leaned back, slow and deliberate, like someone who had just confirmed exactly what kind of conversation he was dealing with. "There it is," he said quietly. "There what?" Joy asked, irritation rising. "The real Joy Behar," Mark replied, calm but pointed. "The one who thinks anyone who doesn't share her politics must be morally broken. Tell me something. When did political disagreement become a character flaw?" Joy stared at him, stunned. She was used to celebrities either groveling, deflecting, or rushing to agree. She wasn't prepared for someone who would dismantle the question itself. "I never said that," she protested, though her voice had lost its usual bite. "You didn't have to," Mark said. "It's in your tone. In every question you've asked since I sat down. You've decided that because I see the world differently than you, I must be fake, dishonest, or dangerous. There's no space in your view for the idea that good people can disagree on politics and still be good people." The other hosts were now visibly uneasy. Sunny fidgeted with her papers. Sarah glanced back and forth between them like watching a slow-motion crash. Even Whoopi looked unsure how to intervene. "That's not true," Joy insisted, but the conviction was gone. "I respect other viewpoints." Mark let out a quiet laugh, not cruel, but incredulous. He said, "In the last 10 minutes, you've questioned my faith, my sincerity, my intelligence, and my character. All because I won't apologize for being myself. If this is how you treat people you respect, I'd hate to see how you treat people you actually disagree with." Joy's face was beet red. She was stuck, backed into a corner by her own tactics. Doubling down would look petty. Backing off would look like defeat. And everyone in the studio could feel it. "I think you're being overly sensitive." Joy tried, her tone shifting to condescension. Mark didn't miss a beat. "My," he asked, still calm, still steady. "Let me ask you something. When was the last time you had a guest on this show who didn't align with your politics? And you didn't spend the entire interview trying to humiliate them or force them to conform? When was the last time you listened to understand, not just to reply? The question hung in the air like a thunderclap. No one moved. No one spoke. It wasn't just a rebuttal. It was an indictment. And in that moment, the entire room knew Wahlberg had just taken back the narrative. Joy opened her mouth to respond, but nothing came out. She hesitated, visibly searching for an answer that wasn't there. The silence that followed was louder than anything she could have said. Mark didn't let it go to waste. "I'll make it simple," he said, voice calm but firm. "Can you name one conservative guest you've treated with the same respect you give to the liberals who come on this show?" "Just one." Joy blinked rapidly, her mouth opening and closing as if trying to form a response. "I treat all my guests fairly," she finally stammered. Mark tilted his head slightly. "Do you, though?" he asked, not with aggression, but with a kind of surgical precision. "Because from where I'm sitting, it feels like you have two completely different interview styles. With people who agree with you, you're warm, friendly. You toss them softballs. But with people like me, you come in swinging from the jump, looking for a way to trip them up. You're not hosting a conversation, you're setting a trap." The room had fallen into a stunned hush. This wasn't the sparring banter the audience was used to. This was something else entirely. A total deconstruction of Joy's persona, delivered without malice but with undeniable clarity. "I ask tough questions?" Joy said, her voice noticeably weaker now, almost defensive. "No," Mark countered, shaking his head slowly. "You ask gotcha questions. And there's a difference. Tough questions aim for understanding. Gotcha questions aim for humiliation. Everything you've asked me today falls in the second category." Joy glanced around, hoping for a lifeline from her co-hosts, but none came. Whoopi stared down at her hands. Sunny fiddled with her pen. Sarah stared blankly into space. Mark wasn't done. "You could have asked about my faith in a way that actually encouraged conversation. Instead, you questioned whether it was real. You could have asked about my politics with curiosity. Instead, you dismissed my views as abhorrent, before I even got to speak. You don't want a dialogue, Joy. You want a duel." The Joy's breathing had turned shallow. The flush in her face deepened. She was in unfamiliar territory, cornered by someone she thought would fold. "I think you're reading too much into my questions," she said, but the words felt hollow, even to her. Mark offered a soft smile, genuine, not smug. "Maybe I am. Or maybe you've been doing this for so long. You don't even realize you've stopped treating people like people. So let me ask you something real, Joy. Do you actually enjoy interviewing people who disagree with you? Or do you just enjoy making them uncomfortable?" The question wasn't a jab. It was a mirror, and the reflection it offered clearly unsettled her. Joy paused, and for a fleeting moment, something like honesty flickered in her eyes. "I enjoy challenging people," she said at last, but the energy was gone from her voice. "Challenging or attacking?" Mark asked gently. "Because there's a difference. A challenge makes someone think. An attack is meant to make them shrink. Which one do you think you've been doing today?" The Joy looked out at the audience, as if silently begging someone to bail her out. But her co-hosts remained silent, and the crowd was riveted, watching the unraveling of an institution live on air. Mark sat calmly, waiting, no rush, just letting the silence speak for him. Finally, Joy lashed out in a last-ditch effort to regain control. "You know what, Mark?" she snapped. "I think you came here with an agenda. I think you wanted to make me look bad because you don't like my politics." For the first time during the interview, Mark raised his eyebrows, genuinely surprised. "Joy," he said slowly, "do you even hear yourself? You're accusing me of having an agenda after you spent this entire interview attacking my faith, my past, and my politics. I came here to talk about my new film. You turned this into a political inquisition." Joy opened her mouth, then shut it again. She was boxed in, cornered by the very tactics she usually used to dominate her guests. Mark leaned forward slightly, his voice now curious, almost clinical. Let me ask you something else. Do you honestly think your viewers enjoy watching you berate guests? Do you think they tune in hoping to see you catch people off guard and make them squirm? Or do you think they might actually prefer a real conversation, one where they get to learn something about the person sitting in this chair? Joy's hands were shaking. It was subtle but visible. Her whole on-air identity had been built on the assumption that conflict drives ratings, that controversy was king. Now, for the first time, she looked like she was questioning that very foundation. Our viewers appreciate honesty, she said, voice barely above a whisper, trying to hold on to something that still sounded true. Mark nodded slowly. Good, he said. Then let's give them some. Mark leaned forward. Voice calm but deliberate. Or maybe it's you. Because from where I'm sitting, you're the one with a problem telling the truth. Joy blinked. Caught off guard. You've spent this entire interview trying to trip me up, twisting words, looking for some scandal. But the second I hold a mirror up to you, suddenly, you're the victim. The camera operators were in heaven, zooming in on every twitch of Joy's face as her trademark smirk began to fade. In its place, panic. Not the kind born of anger, but of realization of exposure. I'm not a victim, she snapped, but her voice cracked. Mark nodded gently. You're not. You're a bully. And like most bullies, you're not used to someone standing up to you. That's the problem. This game only works when people are scared of you. But I'm not. I'm not scared of your questions, your cheap shots, or your attempts to humiliate me. He paused, letting it land. I'm disappointed. Joy went pale. The studio went silent. Disappointed that someone with your reach, your platform, chooses to use it to tear people down instead of lifting them up. You could be using this chair to bring people together, to challenge ideas without attacking people. But instead, you stir conflict, manufacture outrage. That's not journalism. That's theater. In the control room, even the producers seemed frozen. What was supposed to be a puff, peace promo had become a live reckoning. And the saddest part. Mark continued, voice softening. I don't think this is who you really are. I bet off camera you're someone people love, someone with compassion. But you've created this version of yourself, this angry on-air persona, and now you're trapped in it. You've forgotten how to just talk. Joy's eyes welled with tears. Whether from shame, fury, or truth, it didn't matter. For the first time, she looked human, not invincible, not smug. Just lost. I don't know what you want me to say, she whispered. Mark shook his head. I don't want you to say anything. I just want you to ask yourself something. Tonight, when the lights are off and the cameras are gone. Ask yourself, are you proud of who you were today? Not the host, the person. Are you proud of how you treated someone else? Joy's composure shattered. A single tear slipped down her cheek. Mark's voice dropped to a near whisper, but it carried across the entire room. I forgive you. For the ambush. For the attacks. For trying to embarrass me on national television. I forgive you, because I know hurt people. But more than that, he looked her in the eye. I hope someday you can forgive yourself for becoming someone you probably never meant to be. Silence. Joy sat frozen, her persona in pieces, her co-host stunned. Not even the cameraman dared move. Mark rose slowly, adjusted his jacket, and addressed the room, not just Joy. I hope you find peace. And to your viewers out there, remember, behind every celebrity, every politician, every public figure is a human being doing the best they can. Maybe it's time we treated each other like it. And with that, he walked off the set. No mic drop, no theatrics, just quiet, devastating grace. Joy remained motionless, tears falling, surrounded by the ruins of her own performance. The show tried to recover. It didn't matter. In less than 30 minutes, Mark Wahlberg had done what no critic, no scandal, no social media storm had ever managed. He showed Joy Behar exactly who she had become. And for once, She couldn't look away. What did you think of Mark Wahlberg's powerful takedown? Have you ever seen a celebrity flip the script like that? Lev unfiltered and unforgettable. Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more moments when Hollywood refuses to play by the media's rules.